While millions of Americans who hit the road for Easter or Passover found it cost a little less to drive. AAA reports the average price of gas nationwide has fallen about 24 cents in the last 5 weeks to $4.09 a gallon.
Well, analysts say that there's not much that any president can do about gas prices, but it doesn't stop them from trying, of course. And Weijia Jiang shows us what the White House is doing and why some of President Biden's allies don't like it.
As the Russian invasion causes instability in the global energy market, President Biden wants to ramp up domestic oil production. He is already tapping the nation's strategic petroleum reserve to help slash gas prices. And now the administration plans to resume selling leases for new oil and gas drilling on 144,000 acres of public lands in 9 states, even though Mr. Biden made this promise on the campaign trail.
No more drilling on federal lands, period.
The Department of Interior called the decision to open up more federal land for drilling a balanced approach to energy development. But climate groups are furious. One group says while the Biden administration talks a good talk on climate action, the reality is they are in bed with the oil and gas industry.
And Weijia joins us now from the White House. Weijia, so good to see you there for the Easter egg roll. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's discuss your story about drilling. The decision to resume those leases and the selling of leases are aimed at reducing gas prices. But do we think that we're actually going to see any impact at the pump anytime soon?
Well, the thing with federal drilling is that it's not like an off and on switch. So even if there are more leases and even if companies develop plans to start drilling, it's going to be a year, 2 years, maybe even more before that actually has a significant impact on domestic oil production, because these things take time. And a lot of companies have already listed off some issues that are dissuading them from doing that. For example, the cost. There are steel tariffs that are in place from the Trump administration. That steel is really important to begin one of these drilling projects, not to mention regulations and fees that they have also complained about. And the Department of Interior has said with this announcement of new federal leases that the fees are going way up for companies. And so that's another disincentive when it comes to those potential manufacturers of oil, drillers of oil. So we have to see who actually wants these leases, but we know that it will take some time before that oil makes a dent in the domestic supply.
And Weijia, I often loathe to make this about a horse race, but the president is certainly facing some criticism over this move. How concerning is this for the president, the Democrats, a little over 6 months before the midterms?
Well, it really is environmental groups and progressive Democrats who are sounding alarm bells because, as we just heard from then candidate Biden, he promised not to do this, and he made a pledge to reduce the need for using fossil fuels. He has a huge climate agenda, most of which has not been passed yet because it was weaved into the Build Back Better plan, which right now is dead in Congress. But, I think what matters more, perhaps, is how people are feeling when it comes to gas prices. I mean, whether you're an environmentalist or not, you're feeling that pinch. And as we just saw from our CBS News poll, people want to see the president do even more. This is one thing he can do in the long term, because certainly the Russian invasion is not going to be the last global event that impacts prices. So I think that we have to wait to see what the appetite is from the general public for a move like this. If the administration can say, ultimately it will bring the gas prices down. But, I think it's going to depend on the climate and how people are feeling, how much they're spending when November rolls around, to see how this could have a real political impact.
Vlad and I were talking before about just all of the terrible, tough news that we've had to bring from this anchor desk. And then we see you there at the White House South Lawn with little ones in the background. And it just seems like an opportunity for a little bit of joy and hope and optimism. Can you tell us anything about what's going on there?
Yeah, this is the annual Easter egg roll. It was halted back in 2020 because of the pandemic, and of course another priority for the administration is getting back to normal. This is normal. You see a lot of children with their parents participating in the festivities. The theme this year is Egg-jucation, EGG. I'm sorry. And I think it's
I wonder who thought of
excellent.
that.
It actually was the First Lady. It's a nod to all of the years that she has spent and currently is spending as an educator. And so there are different stations here, like a book reading station. The Broadway star Kristen Chenoweth is going to be here a little later reading from her book. So it's not just about the eggs, which we have here, 50,000 hard-boiled eggs for the big rolls and the egg hunts and decorations, and this is the official commemorative egg. So I think it's a really, really nice treat for kids in the area who were lucky enough to score some tickets. Even though it is drizzling out here, as you can see, it's a really special day because it is some sign that there is normalcy, even though we're not back to normal. At least we can have celebrations like this one here.
Wait, so is that egg, is that a real egg, Weijia, or is that like is that artificial or the commemorative?
So
the
this one's artificial.
Okay.
This one I could crack and eat right now, which I might, because as I mentioned on the morning show, I said that my own egg, my big bump here, I'm going to roll myself down the lawn, and I just might. And to go along with that, you know, of course, I'm eating everything in sight, which includes this egg. So we'll see.
Well, if you do a live shot later, I will be watching Weijia to make sure it is that same egg or a different egg. I was joking with Weijia after she did her hit for CBS Mornings. I texted her because she was, you know, breathing heavily.
Right, I texted her too.
Right, I guess you will do that. And I was like, Weijia, I'm the kind of guy, I'm so not quick-witted. I always come up with like a witty response like 30 minutes later, like a Seinfeld, like George could do the stupid store, and they're out of you. So I texted her, I'm like, the baby kicked you when we said cue. The baby took that for, you know, him or herself, and here's my text about it. I could have said it on the air, but I wasn't witty enough to do it.
Well, you know, it's so nice though.
Well, you just did.
Yeah, well, you got it in.
I got my joke out there.
You gave us some optimism, both on like the love and joy of new life, but also potentially a decrease in our gas prices, which we can all enjoy. Weijia, thanks.
Yes, it's a hard pivot, but at the end of the day, it's all about just, you know, getting back to some sense that things are going to be okay. It's going to take some time, but things are going to be okay.
We definitely need that. We need to hear more of that, I think.
Weijia, awesome.
Yeah.